excerpt like that. That one's from Bach. How do we make sure that our left hand and our right hand move along at the same rate? Let's talk about the right hand first. When playing off the string, it's really about what exactly the amount of bounce we need. If we end up doing any further, or getting any further away from the string than we want, that makes it difficult to play in a controlled way, because we can't judge the speed of it if the bow is bouncing too high. Right? So we have to keep things to a minimum. We just use the amount of the height away from the string just as much as we need, no more and no less. We have to practice this with open strings to make sure that we have exactly the speed that we want. And if it's not coming out the way we want, we have to think about whether the right hand is active in the fingers, slightly in the wrist, and we're not trying to make things happen with the entire arm, because that's never going to make us play quick notes off the string with the entire arm. We have to really make sure that the small muscles are moving. Once we have that in place, and the other matters in place, of course, where we are in the bow. Even if we have the right movement in the right hand, and we have the right distance from the string, if we're too high on the bow, that's also going to get out of control. So we have to find the right place of the bow in order to play that correctly. Once we have that speed, we have to place it in context, because chances are these sections where we play semi-quavers off the string don't occur in a continuous way. They appear somewhere in between two other things that are going on. I'll give you an example from the same excerpt. Before that, I have on the string triplets. So, we have to make sure that we also practice these open string movements in the context of the speed and the notes that we're playing. So I would do this. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to test myself. I'm going to make sure that I try a bit slow and a bit faster and see whether I can still manage those off the string movements. Then we have the issue of the left hand. Now, if the right hand knows what it's doing, then and if it's still not coordinated, then something is going on in the left hand. Here, if we have movements that if we can't get our fingers moving fast enough to match that bow speed, then we have an issue of what we call digital independence. I love this word because we keep thinking of the word digital as digital versus analog, but in this case, we're talking about the digits of our fingers, our digits, and making sure that each of those fingers are independent. Meaning that if we move each of these fingers independently, the other fingers shouldn't be moving. So each of these muscles work independently of the others. The problem is that sometimes we have movements like the third finger and the fourth finger moving together, or sometimes like that. So that is usually an issue when we can't get speed on some of these movements. It's simply because we're trying to use all our muscles all of the time, and our muscles get tired. We can't move fast. The only way to make sure that all of these small notes happen with agility is by making sure that you only use the muscles that you need. To do this, it's not as simple as looking at some of the music that we have and trying to play that over and over again. We actually have to take out specific exercises for this. My favorite is the very first of the Dankla studies. Basically, exercises like this ensure that when we press the third finger, the fourth finger is independent and is totally relaxed because it's not its job to do anything at that point. And when it's time to press the fourth finger, well, then it's time for it to get to work. So those two things put together, specific exercises for the left hand, as well as thinking about the smaller muscle movements of the right hand and practicing on open strings as well as in context, hopefully we'll get the left hand coordinated with the right hand so that in the end, we have that coming out exactly how we want it.